Joining me now from Burbank, California is Ryan Patel. He's a global business executive and a senior fellow with the Drucker School of Management at Claremont Graduate University. Ryan, we've seen this movie before. Where do you see things going?
Well, I'm hoping it actually is going to slow down, but I have a feeling that with the retaliation, I think we're going to get through holiday season, and then we're going to start to see the rhetoric keep going up. I think, it's very crystal clear to me in this movie that you and I are discussing that China wants to be able to not look like they're being bullied, and every time they come back to the table, it seems like something blows up. And I think this cannot continue to happen. You see, we're at a point where every the businesses here in the United States of America, their consumers and the businesses are going to feel it by the end of December. If nothing changes, every product coming from China is going to have a price to pay, and that will be the consumers at the end of the day. And we know when that happens, there's no going back. You can't really kind of talk yourself out of that.
Yeah, it's a good point. In fact, a couple of economists at the London School of Economics crunching the numbers, they figure these latest round of tariffs will cost an average American family about $460. The tariffs are going to cost disproportionately more for the poor families out there. In fact, this would wipe out any benefits they got from the tax cut that the president has touted. These are necessities that these families can't put off. So what's likely to be the blowback, do you think?
I think you're starting to see it a little bit from the higher end companies or the manufacturing companies. I mean, you even saw Apple. Tim Cook had dinner with President Trump a few weeks ago. That hasn't really happened over the last year and a half, talking about how this needs to kind of shut down. But I think you mentioned something where we get caught up. Obviously you talk about the automated industry, the electronic industry, but stores like here in the U.S., like the dollar stores and these other common staple goods that are people tend to kind of go because it's a cheaper price, those prices are going to go up. And so when you have those, you mentioned that $450 price range, it is a large amount for the Americans, because it's just something that people are not thinking about. And then also you can't mention the people who are not investing, businesses that are investing into growing, increasing the job market. They're just putting their money on the sideline. So that stunts growth and obviously stunts how people spend.
And I heard earlier today an interview from former U.S. Ambassador to China, Max Baucus. He's very pessimistic about a deal in the offing, saying that China feels like it can absorb the hit from this trade war better than the U.S. And another part of this, of course, is the erratic behavior of the U.S. president in trying to gauge what it is he wants. There doesn't seem to be a real clear delineation there. What do you make of his comments, and do you think that China taking its grievances to the World Trade Organization, trying to go that route, asking, as you heard the Ministry of Foreign Affairs saying, the spokesman saying that there needs to be necessary conditions for talks. What are some of these signals that you're hearing there?
I think China, that's a procedural thing. I think China is looking at themselves of handling the situation on of looking at what maybe the worst case scenario, what everyone else thinks of, is that there is no trade deal, and this is just buying more time of them kind of looking at other avenues and trying to wean off from the U.S. because it seems like 1 week that there is good conversations, everybody's in kumbaya, and then the next week, everyone's putting tariffs on together. And I think, what China had kind of tipped their hand a little bit over the weekend, which is saying, we may not retaliate in full force, is just showing that, hey, China's willing to come to the table. They're trying to look great for the rest of the other countries at the same time. And I think that's where I think they're sending a message that both need to be equal partners in this conversation. To me, that's the key number one, is just have a real conversation as equals and then move forward. And that's kind of how they got to a good place, maybe in around March, April, when they were kind of getting closer.
Well, let's hope that happens. Ryan Patel, and from Southern California, always great to see you. Thanks so much.